This thing on?
We talking about practice, man.
Yeah, I work with my hands. It's a misdemeanor in 27 states.
You gotta be comfortable with your co-host in this amount of space.
Yeah, I can see me and you.
This guy runs a state.
You get that through your head?
You just got hashtag content.
You know, technology and stuff.
Open your grill. It's stuck in your teeth.
Now I have to mark them so I don't get the lick mic.
You're not really that stupid, are you?
Quavos.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
We don't have a lot of editing this time.
The ceiling is the roof. Let's make it happen.
The future of the NBA has been determined. We go north of the border to discuss some ball.
NBA Twitter titan Eric Fawcett of PressBasketball.com joins us to break down the draft.
Plus our female correspondent Ashley Carter jumping on board to be determined to discuss the Bills Mafia documentary.
Which 2017 NBA draftee can see the future and make a mean vine? Pouring out for Vine.
To be determined, episode 17, previously recorded from the studio in Mom's basement. At Sports by Bond, Stephen Bond. Joined by at Trabs Matt Traybold. At Scooty Minx, Matt Traybold. Any other names that you'd like to put out there?
It's pretty comprehensive.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Hey, you're just doing you.
2 different outlets, 2 different names.
Hey.
Twitter, Trabs,
You're quite the talent.
Scooty Insta. Just so people know. Just so people have the info. You can find the show on Twitter, at TBD_show. On Instagram, to be determined show. You can email the show, tbdmailman@gmail.com. The email always goofs me. I don't know why that is.
Carl Malone. Just remember Carl Malone.
Carl Malone, that's true. The mailman. That's a good way to think of it.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Well, that's all right.
Mime in a skyhook.
And it probably didn't even make it off camera because I got your shot.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little tight.
That's
That's all right.
Hey,
That's all right.
A-block, we tied it up.
All right, we begin this show typically, I should say, in the fashion of trying to determine something, and we will. So I'm going to let you know what is ahead. We're going to talk with Eric Fawcett of PressBasketball.com as a writer who's become a new FOTS. What do the Mets do? Are they a disaster, or is that franchise salvageable, or this season salvageable? And, fellas, no Cologne at the gym before you work out. After, okay.
Cologne?
Cologne. No cologne or body spray at the gym before you work out. But we begin the 17th episode with To Be Determined by letting everyone know we are not welcome in the bird community.
Not at all.
We are not welcomed in the bird community.
We are foul for the foul.
You may hear throughout part of this podcast, I'm not sure how good the mics are to pick this up, but we had a little critter, a little friend, just outside
Some wildlife.
the studio in Mom's basement, because that's literally where we are. And there's the window well right outside the basement. And to your credit,
right to the
Maddie,
right of me.
you heard it the whole time. I heard it once we took the headphones off and I could give it a listen. We had a little bird in the window well. And the fear was initially that this little birdie was hurt. And hard to tell, but you said the leg may have been mangled a bit.
We had different concerns.
It was obvious. It was obvious to me that this little birdie was very frightened. Little Petey was very frightened. And
That's the first problem you named it.
Long story short, I used to think I had a pet bird named Petey, but really it was my parents just torturing me and saying that every bird in the sky was Petey and that I thought it was a pet. It was their way of getting me a pet bird.
I am not your therapist.
This show is, though. The show is to a degree. It's my sports therapist.
It's very true.
So, little Petey Jr., for lack of a better term, was trapped in the window well, and we tried a number of different things. Tried to just brush his back to get him to fly out, and it's at that point we realized maybe he's hurt. Then we got the pool skimmer out.
Yeah.
Tried that, but it was a little too wide. And while Matt was in scooping, a couple of birds were dive bombing.
Yeah, and out of my periffs.
They were very concerned. So they weren't that close to us, but in Matt's defense...
In my periffs, it looks like they were coming to kamikaze us.
It looked bad. It looked bad. So we'll end the saga by saying we think the bird got out safely. We scooped him up with a lacrosse stick, ultimately.
Yes.
He sort of flapped his wings out.
You did good. You jumped on him. Wait.
No, not jumped on.
Jumped on the opportunity.
Yes.
Not the
Okay,
bird.
Good God, thank you for clarifying that. Peter would have been on us before we would have even gotten big, okay? Let's at least get big first. We got the birdie out. Now, it may or may not have flown into a bush after. It was closer to nighttime, so we couldn't quite see it as well. And there were a number of birds circling
And they're
ahead.
squawking.
They were going crazy.
They're squawking.
They were going crazy. So we are clearly not welcomed by the bird community, even though I would argue we did a good thing.
I'll headbutt a bird.
We may or may not have saved
Hey,
a bird's
that's
life tonight.
self-defense. That's self-defense.
Let's dive into the sports world. We begin in the world of golf. And
The Lynx.
a birdie.
Yeah.
A birdie for Spieth. Speaking of birds, we'll connect some dots here. A birdie for Jordan Spieth at the Travelers wins him in walk-off fashion, wins the Travelers for him. He chips in for birdie from the bunker on 18 to win in the playoff. And the playoff was over Daniel Berger. So Spieth getting his 10th career win. Now, why do we talk about this? Well, it's big because it's Jordan Spieth, and, it's Under Armour's golden boy. But more importantly, it gets him to 10 career wins at the age of 23, that ripe old age of 23. And yes, there is a spelling error in that.
You're still my sunshine. Don't you forget it.
Tiger had 15 before this age. Bunch of majors for Tiger. The one thing that the question that we had here that we wanted to determine is, can Spieth make things interesting with Tiger's and Jack's major resume?
And the big talk, this is a very good win. He deserves the talk to be plenty about this, but it's the fact that he has not had that clout in majors of late. And it's funny because he was much younger. I mean, he was a younger man when he put on the green jacket.
Yeah.
And he's still a young man.
He's had young success.
Yes.
And I think his head is, he's the type of guy you can tell his head is just screwed on straight.
Oh, it's his
He's
eye
got
of a
it
tiger.
together. You like his competitiveness.
Entrepreneur.
I think he even said after the tournament was over, he's just having fun out there. I mean, this is what he dreamed about as a kid, and it's funny because at 23, you still are a kid.
Jeez.
So, yeah, it's cool to see him doing this. So, Spieth getting to 10, it remains to be seen what he can do. He won't get to 15. He's not going to break Tiger's record there. But can he get to 15 majors? Maybe.
He's shown at a
Maybe.
young age that he can do it.
He's got the talent. Now, there's a lot of talent out around him that
Yeah.
he's going to have to compete with. So it's going to be tougher. All right, let's go to the NBA. NBA draft held on Thursday. And this, I tell you, for a league, when you say winning the offseason, and that's a term that's just thrown around too loosely these days, I think you can put it literally with the NBA. From free agency signings to trades to the draft. Dare I say the NBA more relevant at this time than the NFL?
And the NFL is usually the king of staying relevant year-round.
Every week there's something with the NFL. The NBA has dominated the headlines.
It's these bigger contracts and how it's zhuzhing up the free agency market. It's making everything more relevant. It's trickle-down.
Markelle Fultz going 1, Lonzo Ball going 2, Jason Tatum going 3 to your Celts. What did you make of this draft? Is there a rookie, and this is, I guess, what we're trying to determine because these are all going to be rookies. Is there a rookie that is set up for success?
It's easy to say the point guards. 5 are taking the top 9, which is pretty unprecedented. You just mentioned Lonzo, Fultz. But I'm going to go, and it sounds a little fishy because I grew up a Celtics fan. I mean, 4 inches behind my brainstem, there is a Celtic Shaquille O'Neal jersey. But I'm going to go with Jason Tatum.
Okay.
Maybe not as good of a fit. He's still a great fit because he's Jason Tatum, as a Josh Jackson. But it's the fact that Jaylen Brown did some good things but wasn't life-changing. Granted, he was still a rookie. And he's a wing player. I think they need a lot of wing help. Jason Tatum, maybe, in terms of the offensive side of the ball, maybe the most NBA ready in this draft class.
I was just going to ask you that because the Celts trade back to 3, and they said they had their guy in mind the entire time, and they get him in Tatum. A lot of people speculated that it could be Jackson, but the two sides never even met, and Ainge pointed to that in the post, saying he bailed on us for a workout when I woke up at 4 in the morning, so I'm not going to draft a kid that we know nothing about. So is Tatum the most NBA ready out of those top 3? LeVar Ball might argue differently, but
I would say offensively speaking.
Okay.
Because he's definitely not the type of defender that Josh Jackson is. But in terms of how many different ways he can score on you, I would say definitely.
Winner in the draft.
The winner in the draft? Oh, my gosh. We're going to have to go back to it. to be the Celtics. Already mentioned Tatum.
Not the Sixers, huh? A lot of buzz around the Sixers right now.
I know.
They're
and
winning
rightfully
social
so.
media.
And rightfully so. I would say more so Celtics up within my top group of winners.
Okay.
But I'll mention
But the
them
winner-
because, hey, I love seniors getting drafted. And Malcolm Brogdon spent 4 years at Virginia. Later today, he might be named the 2017 NBA Rookie of the Year. But Shemi Ojeleye and Kadeem Allen, both in the second round. Ojeleye, very NBA-ready body, added a three-point shot once he went from Duke to Southern Methodist. So I really like what he can do. And Kadeem Allen, I think he kind of went the opposite way. Ojeleye was a leaper that added a three-point shot. And I think he really saw a flaunting of the vertical athleticism of a shorter guy and a shorter guard for Kadeem Allen this past season at Arizona. So I really like the veterans mixed in with, obviously, a freshman, Jason Tatum, at the top.
Two guys of local interest. Tyler Lydon going 24 to the Nuggets. And Thomas Bryant going, 42nd?
Yes, 42nd.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got the number right. That's why I hesitated. 42nd to the...
Little Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. To the Lakers. What do you make of both of those picks?
I don't think the needs are a bad deal at all. I mean, you could say here and there that needs would be better with different teams, but I think they got it right in terms of that. I mean, Tyler Lydon, I think he's going to be helped a lot by being in a team with Danilo Gallinari, at least from an offensive standpoint. He's a little bit of a better defensive player. At least he showed that in college. We'll see if, with the length being bigger in the NBA, if it can relate. And I think you have a very good mentor, possibly, with Robin Lopez. Very short before the draft, you had Timofey Mozgov and D'Angelo Russell go to the Nets, and the Lakers, the new team there for Thomas Bryant, has a guy that can really show him the ropes. And this is a guy, I mean, I know he's new to this team, new to this locker room, but he's been an all-star before. So him and Ivica Zubac, these are project centers as of right now. That's not a slight against them. The potential is definitely there, and
Sure.
I think Robin Lopez, who won't be around for too much longer taking their minutes, will really help them in terms of tutelage.
NBA crushing it. The league that is not the National Hockey League. This is a league that just simply does not get it. We'll dive first into the marketing aspect of this, going draft to draft. So the NBA wisely holds their draft on a Thursday. The NHL goes on the next night, on Friday, when, you've got nothing going on. You and I have nothing to do besides sit around and watch TV. Oh, wait, it's Friday night. You're going to go out. You're going to party, meet some friends, maybe kick on the Netflix thing. You're not going to be at home watching the NHL draft.
Well, just like
Especially
you look at
with the crop of players that were in this year's draft.
You
And
just
you
look
heard
at
about
your-
them.
your sitcoms and stuff, they're not going on Friday for a reason.
Yeah. You don't get ratings on Fridays. You don't get ratings on Saturdays. The only show that gets
Yeah.
ratings on Saturdays are sporting events during the day and Saturday Night Live at night.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. Saturday Night SNL is a staple.
Keenan Thompson.
It's a staple show. It's been around for 40 years, whatever it is. And during Friday nights, it's just... You're out. You're out and about. That's the way society is. So you're not taking advantage of the calendar at all if you're the NHL. You're just rushing it in. You're trying to go in and out of the NBA and say, we're going to go before, we're going to go after. You get the expansion draft in on a Wednesday, so you preempt theirs. Okay, fine. Then put it the next week. Get the draft the next week. Get eyeballs on this, okay? These guys, these names, you won't hear about them outside of the top two guys. You won't hear about the rest of these guys for maybe 2, if not 3 years for some of them.
Yes.
You're not going to know about them, and I'm including the Sabres pick at 8 and Casey Middlestat in that. It could be a 2-3 year project with Middlestat. Why not hype them up right now? If it's not that important, then kind of do what baseball does and just do it behind the scenes and don't worry about it. But you're kind of half in, half out right now. You want to make it a spectacle. You're changing it around to Chicago and Buffalo and all these places, but you're not committing to it. Commit to it. Look at a calendar. Open your eyes. Realize your place. You're number 4. You're number 4. Figure out a better time to hold this draft. This is pathetic. I mean, I love hockey. The NHL drives me up a wall.
You mentioned the bad timing, both in which week it was, the same time as a more popular draft in the NBA draft, and the time within that week. Friday night, you just mentioned a second ago, but whenever they come up with a chance to help their popularity, they do not take advantage. Gary Bettman in the NHL.
What did we learn from a Sabres perspective? What did we learn about GM JB, Jason Bottrill?
It is interesting that that's coming about.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't rhyme. It's not GMTM.
No, it's not. It's not good. GMTM was
But
so
I
much
like
better.
it because it's a little bit ironic.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. I don't know that we really learned anything from him, other than he likes the best player available, which he said ahead of time. So
Yeah.
he kind of tipped his hat in that regard. So you learn that he's, Tim Murray was very honest. We don't know that Bottrell is going to be honest yet, but he was honest in this regard.
I'm not sure if it's his personality.
And I think it's true. I think this draft
It's early.
forced you to be that way. I don't think you're not going to learn anything about Bottrell because this was the way of the draft. That it was outside of the top two guys.
Yet very
the
few.
wave below
Yeah.
was all projects.
Yes.
They take Casey Middlestat at 8, and I love the pick. If you're not going to get a guy that's going to help now, set yourself up for the future. The future of the league is on the blue line and at center. That's the future of the league. You need guys that can win draws. You need guys that can play 200 feet. And you need guys with hands and quick shots. And guess what? That's Casey Middlestat out of Minnesota. I get that he didn't play against the best competition. I get that you wanted to see him go play against bigger junior teams, or bigger junior leagues, I should say. But guess what? He's going to the University of Minnesota. He's going to a legit D1 school. He played for the U18 or U17 team, and he dominated. 17? He might have been 17. He dominated there. He played for the USHL, and he dominated before and after his high school season there. The kid wanted to go back and play high school puck. It is what it is. I'll apologize for it. It's fine. That's what the kid wanted to do. He's 17, 18 years old. I can't blame him.
I mean, especially with the personnel they have, and you've talked about it so much on this show, they need help, the Sabres that is, at the blue line. But that's not what this draft class touted, especially at pick 8. It would have been a reach. So go with best available. And, hey, GM, the other side of it is working the free agency market, working the trade market. It's not just all about what you're getting through the draft. So that's how you get that portion of your team fixed.
No, that's a great point. And I think we'll still see the free agency market is not great in hockey this year, so I don't think it's this year, but it could be next year. I mean, listen, this team feels like it's a playoff team. It feels like we're close. The record says otherwise. So, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the only one who has that feeling, but we'll get there. All right. Round the bump music, a guest we're very excited to bring on, Eric Fawcett, writer for PressBasketball.com. We're breaching the borders this week on TBD. Mr. Fawcett, kind enough to join us from Alberta, Canada. We're heading to Edmonton, home of the Oilers, to talk some hoops next on TBD.
You're you, I'm me. I hope you listened to the first part of the show to learn our names. We're back here on To Be Determined.
At TBD_show is the name on Twitter. I'm at Sports by Bond with at Trabs Matt. Pleased to be joined by one E Fawcett 7, spelled EFAWCETT, the number 7. Eric Fawcett joining us from north of the border. I want to get the title correct too as we welcome in. You are a writer for PressBasketball.com.
Yes, that's correct.
Eric, thank you for joining us, my man. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. Looking forward to some great basketball talk today.
It's always beautiful.
Well, it's a good time for it. The draft was very interesting, and that's what we brought Eric on to talk mainly about the draft and how these college guys are going to take the leap to the next level. So we'll dive right into it. The first 9 picks, 5 of them are point guards. A lot of impact guys. You got Fultz going 1 to Philly, Ball going to the Lakers as LeVar projected, I guess, when he was an infant. Who's gonna have the most immediate impact, though, for their team?
I think the most immediate impact is probably actually going to be Dennis Smith Jr. I think Markelle Fultz is obviously going to have kind of lots of opportunity in Philadelphia, and he's going to have a really nice big to pick and roll with in Joel Embiid. But that team has a lot of figuring out to do, kind of identity-wise. If Ben Simmons is really going to be there, people were talking about him playing point guard forever, and now they have Markelle Fultz. So they have a lot of kind of figuring out to do while also just seeing who's healthy. So you see Dennis Smith Jr., I just love the situation he's going into. That starting lineup is going to look really good for his success. If you start him at the 1, you have Wes Matthews at the 2, who can take the hardest defensive assignments at the guard position. He can knock down an open 3. You have Harrison Barnes, who's going to be able to run with Dennis Smith Jr. and match his athleticism a little bit in the open court. You have one of the best pick and pop bigs of all time in Dirk, and then you have a traditional pick and roll big in Nerlens Noel, who's also going to be able to block some shots and kind of cover up if Dennis Smith Jr. isn't the defender. A lot of people kind of question his defense right now, including myself. So you have a guy like Nerlens Noel who can really mop up a lot of his mistakes. So I just love that starting 5, and I think that Dennis Smith Jr. is just going to have every opportunity to succeed there right away. I don't know if I still think Markelle Fultz is going to be the best point guard long term, but as far as immediate impact, I just think Dennis Smith Jr. is going into what's a really, really perfect starting 5 for his game. And there's kind of reports about the Dallas Mavericks, war room getting really pumped when the Knicks took Frank, and that they knew that Dennis Smith Jr. was going to go to them, and I can totally see why, because he just really fits what they're doing there. So I think he's actually going to be the most immediate impact.
It's amazing that the Knicks passed on yet another guy. I'm sorry. I had to put that in there.
After Kristaps, they really like the Euros. They're like, maybe we can hit it again.
Rekindle that magic.
So the top 20 picks of this draft, a record 14 college freshmen. You think that many freshmen going in so young in a round 1 of an NBA draft is good or bad for the NBA?
As far as quality of play, I don't think it's good. When you're dealing with that many freshmen, you're giving these guys. First of all, they're doing a lot of their development at the NBA level instead of the college level, and that developmental level of their progression of their game is not great for the NBA basketball fan to watch. Mm-hmm. So there's that right there, and most of these guys are not going to the D League. They're going to be thrown into either bad NBA teams or garbage time minutes. That's not great to watch. And also, when you're dealing with freshmen, it just means that you are therefore going to be gambling a lot more. If you draft a 22-year-old or a 23, 24-year-old, 50-year redshirt guy, you know what his game is. But when you start to deal with a lot of freshmen, these players don't even really know what they are totally. People talk a lot about a guy like Malik Monk, and I'm not suggesting Malik Monk should have stayed. These guys did the right decision there to declare, get their money. But like you take a look at a guy like Malik Monk, and I still don't really know what he is. Is he a J.R. Smith? Is he a Nick Young? Yeah. Or is he maybe more than that? He could be less than that. And there's guys like that if Malik Monk stayed a little bit later, a little bit more kind of what his game are. And that's just what you're going to get with freshmen. Your teams are gambling a lot more. So I'm not suggesting that any of these guys made the wrong decision. But as far as the question of is it good for the quality of play in the NBA? No, it's not. It's not good for the quality of play, but it's still definitely exciting to see these great players in the NBA already.
Isn't it amazing, and maybe it's just me, that we go for potential in this draft as opposed to the provenness of a player? I don't know, it's just, maybe, and some of these guys, to your point about, hey, go get your money, no problem with that. From me, go get paid. That's fine. You do what you got to do. But from a team perspective and the basketball perspective, it almost seems like the product is down because you're just putting it around hype and you're setting these kids up for failure.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you look at the guy who won Player of the Year in college basketball, Frank Mason. He went in the second round. Dylan Brooks, probably the best player on a really good Oregon team, second round. Some other great seniors. Jaron Blossomgame just snuck into the draft. There's just so many. I'm just looking. Oh, Monte Morris. Now that's a guy I really love. Nigel Williams-Goss, just guys that had really great college careers and really dominated that level, and that's all second round. And obviously some of these guys did really well that got drafted in the lottery. But you look at Harry Giles, he has proven nothing, even at his high school level. And I know it's injuries. I'm not slandering his play, but just because of injuries, a lot of these guys are quite unproven, and it's kind of just become a race, a kind of a game of chicken with these GMs of who will draft a guy early before they've proven something. Yeah. And it's wild that this is happening, but it's putting a lot of pressure on those individual workouts, because when you go see one of these these run and jump bigs that averaged 4 points and 5 assists a game in the ACC, you've got to put a lot of stock in what you see in that individual workout. And that's got to be pretty tense for that scouting staff who's tasked with doing that, as opposed to looking at a player's 3 or 4 year college career, some of those guys. And it is too bad, because some of those guys that stayed in college and only dominated and went on the upswing and got better numbers and had better success for their team, they don't really get rewarded for it. They end up going lower in the second round. So it hurts to see, but I understand teams right now want to try to splash on the star instead of going for the safe pick of a guy who dominated college.
I'm so glad you mentioned Blossom Game, because I was flabbergasted that he went 59. It's like they didn't see that Brogdon, who spent 4 years in Virginia, is maybe going to win the Rookie of the Year. But that's a story for another day.
And it's the Spurs who took him, so that should tell you something right there. If the Spurs take him, it probably means another team should have taken 20 picks early.
All right, so what was the biggest surprise or a couple surprises of this draft for you?
The biggest surprise to me was that teams were not scared of taking bigs. And in a league that is constantly obviously going smaller, this draft was really stacked with good bigs that were going to go in the early teens or something like that. So a lot of people asked me before the draft who I thought the biggest kind of guy that was going to fall would be. And my kind of thought was it was going to be one of those Jared Allen or John Collins or Justin Patton, and not because I necessarily think they're bad players, but there was just so many bigs in the kind of the same area, and I was just thinking there's no way that teams are going to be taking bigs this high. But alas, they did. They took a lot of these bigs. The biggest surprise for me actually came when Miami Heat went and took Bam Adebayo. He was a guy I'm not super high on, and is kind of like he just, every part of him is Dwight Howard to me. He even looks like him. His shoulders, his face. He's Dwight Howard. So which is great, but I just didn't know if a team would want to reach for that. So as a kind of concept, the biggest surprise to me was that teams were not afraid to take bigs. And just kind of to be honest, I enjoy more kind of that traditional style of a traditional center and maybe a pick and pop guy who's a little bigger and can still bang on the block. I really like that style of basketball. Not that I think this is a bad way the league is going, but I'm happy that teams were not scared to take guys that are bigs. And you look at next year's draft class, there's going to be a lot more bigs. So maybe if some of these guys can land, that big basketball will be back in style. But yeah, that was definitely my first. That was what I definitely thought looking at the first round. It's like, wow, teams are not scared of taking bigs. They're not going to reach on a guard just because the league is downsizing. If there's a big that's that they think is good, they're going to take him. But yeah, the biggest surprise to me was definitely Bam at 14, with Justin Patton on the board and John Collins. I thought that might be the big that they would go for. Mm-hmm. I even kind of thought that DJ Wilson, who has a little bit of Chris Bosh to him, might have been a fit there. But yeah, they went for Bam, and that was the first probably biggest surprise to me.
I'm glad he threw in the comparisons there for someone who's a rook like myself, and now I can understand. Okay, Chris Bosh, I remember that guy. Who's the biggest steal of the draft?
Oh, the biggest steal. I might look at how Boston ended up getting Semi Ojeleye in the second round. Now, there's a guy actually, as I talk about guys that I thought might fall due to the style of play, Semi Ojeleye is a very modern NBA player to me in the way that he could play 4, he could play 3, he hits threes, he defends at a high level and is active, and he's a guy that I really thought if someone, if the Heat took him at 14, I wouldn't have been too shocked, just because he is a modern NBA player. No, I don't think he's that, as far as in a vacuum, the 14th best player. But if they took him, I'd be like, hey, might as well take a wing kind of 3-4 guy in that range. So him falling was quite surprising to me for that reason. There's a few other ones that were a little bit surprising. So many people, it's kind of funny. You listen to anyone's podcast or anyone's show, they thought, OG Anunoby was the real deal, that he was going to go higher. I wasn't super big on him, but he falls to the Raptors at 23 or 24. That's a little bit of a slide, and there's a few things like that, but I didn't see any really wild slides. I would say Semi Ojeleye is probably kind of the biggest steal for that reason.
So I know it's early, but what teams seem to win this draft for you?
I really like what the Lakers did, actually. I really like that they took Josh Hart. Going back to our conversation about guys that really dominate in college, the Lakers just took a guy who just has a large sample size of doing really well in college. So I really like that pick. They took Kyle Kuzma, which is a guy I really enjoy. A really kind of crafty guy that fits in their system. And they also took Thomas Bryant, who I think fits in really well. And yeah, I would say they're maybe the initial winner. And I when talking about who won the draft, I don't always like to put kind of trades in that kind of context. But I think the 76ers really won, because I think that deal was pretty lopsided in their favor to be able to get that number 1 pick this year. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they did really well, I would say. And the Lakers need players right now. They have very so I think I was pretty happy with them.
You mentioned Thomas Bryant and the Lakers. Another name of local interest. Thomas Bryant, obviously from the Rochester area. Tyler Lydon, a guy that went 24th overall to the Nuggets. How do those two fit in with those two teams, and how do they project? I know it's still so early in this whole thing.
Right. I was a little surprised at how high Tyler Lydon went. But I really trust what Denver does. They've always drafted really well, in my opinion, and they've kind of done well with guys like Lydon, who are like kind of athletic but not super athletic, kind of long but not super long. With kind of Danilo Gallinari, if they can retain him, that's kind of I would really like if they were able to retain Gallinari. If you had a Lydon, Gallinari, and Jokic kind of wing front court 3-4-5 there, I think that would work really well. And we know he can shoot the ball, and I think he'll be able to play that kind of up-tempo pace. I feel so sorry for these Syracuse guys who every year have to talk about whether they can play man defense, but I trust that he's going to be able to do that, and he'll fit in really well. So I think that Denver. I don't think that Denver drastically reached, but a little bit in my mind. So it's clear that they really like him, and that must be a great feeling for a player to go to a team that obviously really wants him and sees what he does well. So I have pretty high expectations for what he'll do there.
So prediction time: who is your very early 2018 Rookie of the Year award winner?
Oh, I talked about it already, I guess. So that Dennis Smith Jr., I think that he's just in position to succeed. That starting 5 is just actually, I honestly think that starting 5 is going to be one of the best starting 5s in the NBA. Not their bench is a drastic. It falls off drastically, and I don't know how many minutes Dirk is going to play. But the other thing too is if Dennis Smith Jr. is not doing super well as the point guard, they have some guys like Seth Curry, not veterans by any means, but JJ Barea and Yogi Ferrell, who have shown that they did some pretty good things for them last year. So if Dirk can only play 22 minutes a game and you end up playing Harrison Barnes at the 4 and Wes Matthews at the 3, and you kind of downsize, then you can get a backcourt of Dennis Smith Jr. and a Seth Curry or a Yogi Ferrell, and he can kind of be insulated that way. So just every part of his game and his situation makes me think that he's going to be in a really, really good spot to contribute right away. So I'm pretty confident in my Dennis Smith Jr. guess. I can't see anyone else. I can't see anyone else being in as good of a situation. As much as I love Markelle Fultz and think he is the best player and will be the best point guard, that team is going to be very odd right away when Ben Simmons gets in. And I love Ben Simmons too, but having now you do kind of have 2 point guards, and you have a Ben Simmons who doesn't particularly shoot the ball well and needs the ball in his hands in a lot of ways. And it could work. I think it's going to work beautifully in a couple of years, but to expect that to happen right away, I don't see that working in Philadelphia as quickly as I see it working in Dallas.
So the hype's there, but I think you're right. It's going to take time to gel. All right, so we've got final 5. I'm going to amend it to final 6 because Eric Fawcett is a Canadian from Edmonton, but rocking, as we are talking, a Syracuse Carmelo Anthony jersey. So we need the quick backstory on how an Edmontonian, I'm butchering that.
Yeah, Edmontonians, right?
Okay, I got it the first time. Okay. I knew I was familiar with the term. I just what is up in the brain and what actually comes out of the mouth are two different things half the time. So just the backstory on this jersey, because this is spectacular.
Yeah, so living in Canada, there's not a lot of college basketball fans here yet. The game's growing kind of rapidly as it gets more television in Canada. But if I see a college jersey, I'm going to buy it here. And it was actually kind of funny. I was on a radio show here in my hometown of Edmonton where the other people on this panel were just ripping Carmelo Anthony, and I found myself defending him just vehemently. And and it just so happened that there was a thrift store right by the studio, and I thought, hey, let's go hit that up. After the show. It was a Saturday morning. I was killing time, and what do I find but a Syracuse Carmelo Anthony jersey? So I bought that, and then as soon as you guys asked me to come on, I was like, oh, I have the perfect jersey for the occasion.
Amazing.
So I'm really glad I got it.
You hit it out of the park, and that's spectacular. I just think of the phrase of all the gin joints in the world. He walks into a thrift store in Edmonton and finds a Carmelo Anthony jersey. How fitting is that?
You could go 200 more times and maybe not even see another college basketball jersey. So the fact that it was a Syracuse Carmelo Anthony is awesome.
Fate. It's fate.
All right. Next one of the final 6. What's your alma mater? Where'd you go to university?
I actually didn't go to university. I started right out of high school. I started to I started playing music. Actually, I played in a band. I traveled across Canada and a little bit of the States. So I did that right away and kind of have kept pursuing that since. Actually, I still play music a ton, and that's kind of the two things I'm into are music and sports. So I didn't actually go to university, so that perhaps also makes it even more funny to you guys that I'm a Canadian. I'm a Canadian who didn't go to university myself, and there's nothing I love more in the world than college basketball. So that might be even more funny for you guys. So,
what do you play?
I play drums.
Oh, nice. Hey, the Final Five's all about getting to know the guy, so that's
great.
I like that answer. Like that's almost a better answer.
I feel like this is now is the fact that you're a drummer a secret talent? It probably is. Do you have another secret talent that's maybe better?
It's probably drums,
okay.
Which is actually kind of funny because I've been on. I've done a lot of radio. I've done a lot of podcasts. NBA Twitter maybe knows me from that, but like no one's ever asked me about music. So this is probably going to be a shock to a lot of people. That actually, I just got off a 2-week tour of Canada just this morning. So music is almost as big of a part of my life as sports. So that's probably my biggest secret talent because no one would really know that who follows my sports stuff. Maybe another one is I really love to cook. Cooking is one of my favorite things. So that's maybe another secret talent. I worked at a restaurant for 2 years when I was in high school cooking. So that's another secret talent, I suppose.
Very nice.
Yeah, for the listeners, one of NBA Twitter's very, very best. So,
oh, thank you.
It should be noted.
That Twitter handle that we said off the top, definitely delve into that. So next one, which actor would play you in a movie?
I think maybe like Jonah Hill or Josh Gad after seeing him in I really like his kind of musical capability. I don't sing, but if anyone's seen the Book of Mormon, he just kills that, and he's just in Beauty and the Beast. So I really like Josh Gad and find him funny, but maybe Jonah Hill, just one of those kind of funny guys I think would probably play me.
Nothing wrong with that. How about a favorite beer?
So I really love beer. That would be another passion of mine.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's actually that is a tough question. We in Canada know our beer, but I would say one of the ones recently that I've been really into is a lot of the monk beers, and I really like that kind of style or that all the stories behind these monasteries in Europe that brew beer. So monk beers have been a big thing, and the best one I found that's pretty big and pretty readily available and kind of good stuff is called Saint Bernardus, and it's just a super complex beer. So if you see Saint Bernardus and just every part of it, it's kind of a pretentious thing because it's a very complex beer, and you can read up on all the monastery where it's in Belgium where these monks brew it. And yeah, it's a cool backstory, and that's one of the things I love about beer is when you can get a kind of cool backstory to the story where it was made. So Saint Bernardus, that'll be my answer.
Saint Bernardus, I like it. So last one, where can we find you on the internet?
Yeah, so at pressbasketball.com. You can find me there, and also I'm very active on Twitter. So the guys read off my handle before, so you can find it there.
Excellent.
Awesome.
I want to get the title again right here. Writer for pressbasketball.com. Eric Fawcett, we appreciate the time, my man.
Thank you. Thank
you so much.
Let me get the bump music in here. All right, around the break, meet the Mets, beat the Mets. Seems like everyone's doing it. So are the Mets ready to pull the plug, I guess, for lack of a better term? We'll dive into that. Plus, guys, stop wearing cologne at the gym. You're not impressing girls, you're just creeping about. We'll do Get Off My Lawn, some segments next on TBD.
4 out of 5 dentists agree TBD is great for your ear molars. Whatever that means, we're back here on To Be Determined.
The show at TBD_show on Twitter, on Instagram, To Be Determined Show. You can feel free to shoot us an email with a comment, some music, whatever. TBDmailman@gmail.com.
A nice flan recipe.
Maybe.
We're looking for good Spanish desserts.
I didn't realize you were in the market.
Yeah, yeah. A nice paella, maybe.
Oh,
you like a nice paella, right?
I'm in on that.
Yeah,
I'm in on that.
Like a just heavy amount of paprika.
I'm not opposed to paprika, if that's what you're trying to.
Paprika.
That's what you're trying to get at. Major announcement coming down the pipeline. Not ready to announce it yet in terms of the World Wide Web. So, bit of a hint, maybe not so much. We're in the process. That's what I'm gonna say. We're gonna steal one from the Sixers. It's the process, if you will.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So it's gonna be really good down the road.
And you're the co-host. This is not good.
No, it's gonna be a nice organic response, man.
Okay, all right, good.
We'll take it that way.
I won't even tell you then. How about that?
Good. Hey, I'm all for it.
Perfect. Let's jump into some segments. B-side story. Are the Mets ready to blow things up and trade every piece they have?
This is crazy.
It's a crazy headline we saw leading up into the show on Sunday as we were recording. Now, just to set the stage a little bit, New York currently residing in the 4th spot in the NL East. They're 11.5 back, and I have of the Mets there, but really it's of the Nats. So another blatant typo by myself here. Mets on the mind, if you will. Meet the Mets. Everybody beats the Mets. Let me just little pencil erase there into Nats. Okay, there we go. The question I'll pose for you here at Trabs, Matt, is it a good move? They're not the worst, but they're nowhere near the top. They're nowhere near the best as I had.
I cannot agree with this move. I cannot.
No.
This is a team that is dealing with plenty and plenty of injuries this season. So they have to take that into account. They have to think, at least in the very back of their mind, hey, if we had all of these guys, we'd be doing a little bit better. Maybe not as good as the Nats because they have such a stranglehold on the NL East. But come on, guys. I mean, you have, especially that starting rotation. Harvey had his issues in terms, he's back now, but in terms of injury issues. Noah Syndergaard, some of their younger guys as well along with that. I mean, come on. It's a little hasty. We got 2 weeks until the All-Star break.
You're not even to the halfway point, and there's already talk of this. Now, you only have a month until the trade deadline, so if you want to make moves, theoretically, you're starting right now. You're at least picking up the phone to make those moves. So either way, it's not a good look because if there are sources leaking this information, leaky faucets in that system, in that franchise rather, is not what New York needs. They're almost like teetering right now on the edge, where they had reached some sort of success a few years ago, all the way to the World Series.
Yeah,
and it just seems. I hate to use the word hangover, but that's what it seems like. Ever since then, they've just been tumbling down.
And they're, like you said, not far removed from being in the World Series.
Isn't that amazing?
Some of these guys that are being talked about as possibly being trade pieces, as Dribble Cabrera, Jay Bruce, Addison Reed, they're new to the Mets. Jay Bruce was added the last trade deadline. Come on. If you're going to do it at all, those are the guys. They're going to, I know you don't want to give away super young talents, prospects maybe even, but really the guys you just got, who at times have been very productive, those are the guys?
11.5 out of the wild card right now. I got to be honest with you.
Early.
I know you don't like this. I don't mind it. If you know there's nothing there and you're just going to be riddled with injuries,
but
if they're not going to be healthy anytime soon, that's what I think you would put the stipulation on.
I know you only have a month, but you got to figure out if these are going to be lingering issues.
Here's the thing. Are you going to get guys back, and will they be able to have the same kind of impact to make a late season run? Because that's what you're looking at. If not, tear the thing down and start again.
I think
I'm not opposed to it.
There's too much on this team. Maybe more on paper than what's on the field right now because of injuries, but this is too much with this team. There are too many guys that were a big part of their recent postseason success are there.
I always turn this back to a Western New York, upstate New York bias, but we saw the Sabres do it a couple years ago. Tim Murray just started trading pieces, trying to acquire guys. He acquired a guy in Evander Kane that couldn't even play that year. Traded away Tyler Myers and Drew Stafford to get Zach Bogosian, I believe some draft picks in Evander Kane. Kane wasn't right. They were in clear tanking mode at that point. But even before then, Ryan Miller gets moved before.
Yeah. Steve
Ott gets moved. I think it was either that year or the year before. The tank is just one big blur to me now. But teams do this. It's not. It's almost commonplace now in professional sports for teams to just throw things and say, "Hey, we're not going to get him this time, so we'll get him next time." But it does create a system where there's the bottom feeders are truly the bottom, and the guys at the top are few, but they're truly the tops. Which I don't know if that's good for professional sports. You hear of parity and you think the NFL is parity, but really that's not the case. I don't know that any league is like that, truly.
And you're talking to a big NCAA tournament guy, or just NCAA men's basketball in general.
Okay.
The name of the game is parity. That's what makes it so March Madness. March Madness is parity-driven, so I'm all for parity. So,
all right, so the Mets are the B-side story this week. We'll jump to by the numbers.
Guys.
We'll stay in the diamond because, hey, there's not many sports left, so we got to go to the diamond. The number this week is 43, as in the age of Miami Marlins Ichiro Suzuki. Ichiro becoming the oldest player in the modern era to start a game in center field. The record previously held by the former, New York Met and Oakland Athletic?
Everything, basically.
Yeah, he played for the Yankees. Ricky Henderson, and he last appeared on the diamond in center field in 2002 for the Red Sox at the age of 43. So both of them were 43. However, Ichiro breaking the record because Mr. Suzuki or Mr. Ichiro, I always get confused on how that goes. I think it's Mr. Ichiro.
Yeah, over here. It's like the Ming Yao Ming thing.
Right. He's
here,
older,
they're Yao Ming and Ichiro Suzuki.
Right. Ichiro older than Henderson by a month. So Don Mattingly saying he was unaware of the record, but really? Are you not aware of this? What's the benefit to putting a 43-year-old in center field?
But that's just coach speak, player speak. Like, I don't care about the individual accolades, even when it's player or a coach talking about a player. So that's just what they do.
Let's see.
The team wins.
Ichiro goes 0 for 4, but did score.
Eh?
What do you make of them putting Ichiro in center field?
He's been not a bad pinch hitter the last few seasons on Miami. So maybe they're just trying to throw him a bone. I mean, he's still on the roster, and he hasn't been pinch hitting too much because, of his age. Let's be serious. In terms of non-pitchers, non-DHs, non-first basemen, guys that play in the outfield, a little bit more strenuous activity going on. They're not usually this old.
The Marlins are 11 back. They're still
in the NL East.
They're in the NL East. So
it's
you're not going to catch Washington at this point. You're just not. So, hey, does it sell a couple more tickets? I don't know, maybe.
My big thing is, though, he still uses an interpreter. And this isn't anything, the fact that he is
has nothing to do
a
with
foreign-born player. There are guys that just got to the league that have made an effort to learn the language. And it's not like he has to. That's not like, you're in America, you got to learn American.
Okay, English.
No,
that sounds very
American.
Okay.
You don't have to, but come on.
All right.
Wouldn't it make it easier?
Well,
wouldn't it make it easier?
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
maybe
it would
his
make it
interpreter
easier
is
for
like
us.
his
and
boy.
maybe
He just
even
wants to
even a connection, even a connection to the fans. I think you'd make a better connection to the fans without it. So I see your point. I see your point.
Bizarre.
All right. So the number this week is 43. We jump to Get Off My Lawn. And it's been stated, and I think I did this last week in episode 16. I don't go very many places. I'm home.
A hermit.
I go to the grocery. I'm not a hermit, but this is where I work out of. I work out of the home for the most part.
Yeah.
Unless I'm calling a game or I'm doing a shoot somewhere. The office is down in the basement.
Yeah.
So I'm either home/office. I'm at the grocery store, or I'm out at the gym, or as we've learned in recent days, I'm at Home Depot an awful lot. Not a sponsor. But I've been there so much, I think I now work there as a part-time employee.
Team Lowe's? Not Chase Pickin.
Not Chase Pickin.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P., yeah. So one of the places that we'll talk about on this week's Get Off My Lawn is bros at the gym who wear cologne or too much Axe body spray. And now, I know you're a fan of Axe body spray. Nothing wrong with that.
More of an Old Spice guy.
Okay, Old Spice. Either way.
It's kind of all in the same family.
We'll call it body spray.
Well, you know what? I just keep this tag body spray. It's now a defunct company, I'm pretty sure. I just keep it around. I'm just letting it age. But man, when I hit that,
it smells funky.
Yeah, tag. I don't even remember what tag body spray.
I don't either. But the point of this story is, guys, at the gym, it's not necessary before the workout. After the workout, you do what you got to do. Just don't spray a ton of it in the locker room. But before the workout, not necessary. So here's the story. I'm at the gym training for a 15K race. So nothing arduous. It's not a marathon by any stretch of the imagination, but you got to hit the miles.
The arty party.
And I wanted to get an upper body workout into to go with it, so I was only going to run a casual 4 to 5 miles that day. Not much in terms of training for, a 15K, but I had to get some miles in. And at this particular gym, there are 2 rows of treadmills, and I'm on the front row. There's a guy on the back row, and behind him are 2 gigantic, like industrial-size fans that are just blowing air to try to cool you off, which I hate. I go into the gym, I want to get a good sweat. Forget the fans. It drives me up a wall, but that's another point. This guy behind me had so much Axe body spray on, I almost was tearing up. I was almost like coughing at just the scent and the amount of body spray this guy had.
Plus, you're rocking an elliptical or treadmill, and it's just kind of circulating. So
Yeah.
you just get it once, it goes, ah,
You can't
Ah.
breathe. Listen, guys, I get that the gym may be a good place to talk to a chick. You feel like you got some beer muscles almost.
hey, deal with that musk. Just hit him with the musk.
Hit him with the sweat.
Hit him with the actual musk.
It's what I'm saying.
Uh,
Get him with the musk. Let him know you've been working.
yeah.
But when you douse yourself in all this cologne and body spray, you're not doing yourself a favor because now you've mixed sweat and body odor with body spray and or cologne.
Let him know Daddy put in some time.
And by the way, what are you doing wearing cologne to the gym? I mean, honestly.
Body jour.
Yeah,
Or Dior. I don't know.
Am I wrong here?
No.
I ask you this every week because I feel like I'm a paranoid individual to a certain extent.
No,
but
I think I agree with most of these.
I don't know.
This included.
I just don't get the point of body spray in and around a gymnasium. It's just, you don't need it, guys. So
Gotta let the stank stink.
Cologne man, get
Cologne
off my
man.
lawn. Get off my lawn.
Cologne man. Flying through the air.
All right, let's go to Twitter takes, Maddie. This was an interesting one that you pointed out, and kudos to you, my man. I don't think this many people had this. So, Zach Collins, we've talked a lot of NBA draft thus far. We're going to do one more NBA story.
Gonzaga got. I always say Gonzaga.
Gonzaga.
I've said on the show.
They're not the Zagas.
Not the Zags. To the Zags.
Zags.
They got to the dance.
They did.
They got the dance within the dance, got to the championship game. So we've been
Yep.
talking Zach Collins for a while now.
We have. Interesting little player. I have down here Zach Collins almost clairvoyant. Almost. So we'll go back to October of 2012. Where were you in October of 2012?
Numb. That's not good.
That's not true at all. I was actually in Utica, New York, believe it or not. The paradise that wonderful city is. October 2012, getting an odd look from @TrabsMatt. Collins tweeted out, quote, drafted number 11 to the Blazers, #A. And tweet.
There's only 2 H's. I feel like you gave it like at least 6
I wanted
H's.
to emphasize it.
Yeah.
I wanted to emphasize it.
Hashtag.
So 5 years later, Collins taken by those very Portland Trailblazers at number 10.
Not impressive at all. Didn't get the right pick. No.
I mean, it's pretty amazing.
That's unbelievable.
There are, 30 teams in the NBA?
Yeah.
To narrow it down, and I get that there's only 1 out of 30, but still, anyone can take
that's
you.
absurd. I mean, that's amazing. Well, team and pick.
Team and pick to be one pick away.
Bumps up the probability.
Now,
or
Portland
lack
had
thereof.
to trade away a pair of picks, the 15th and 20th overall, to get Collins at 10. So they were afraid that they wouldn't be able to get him at 11.
They saw the tweet.
Who was 11? Who drafted 10th originally? I forgot who they traded with. I don't know if you've got your papers in front of you. Bad radio. We'll do it. It's all right.
Just keep talking.
My point to this is that whoever had that 10th pick, they were afraid was going to take Zach Collins, or whoever had the 11th pick.
Keep talking.
Combing through, Maddie's got the draft order in front of him.
Malik Monk, Charlotte Hornets.
Oh, that's right, Charlotte.
Charlotte is a town. Well, I guess a town, in all intents and purposes, in Rochester, New York.
Spelled the exact
Spelled the same
way.
way as Charlotte.
Spelled the exact same way. Oh, all right. You good? You good there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, the Twitter take this week, Zach Collins. I mean, that is I'm just blown away by that. Nothing amazing, no hot take there, or anything like that, which is fine with me. This is that to me is a good piece of Twitter, by accident, really.
You know what's a good piece of Twitter? we found his vines from his Bishop Gorman High School days.
Oh, God.
They are something.
Not good on you.
They
Not good on you.
Twerking.
In a very awkward
Just
fashion.
Tongue work.
Unnecessary.
Lip syncing. Screeching.
Not well.
And he's got those crazy eyes. And now he has a nice head of hair. But when he had the buzz cut, you guess those crazy eyes get you more.
Yeah. The hair now is good. I don't like the buzz cut on him, if I'm honest. All right, so those are the Twitter takes, the segments for this week. We'll dive into some bump music here. Around said bump music, we welcome in a very lovely FOTS, the most beautiful FOTS we have, Ashley Carter, the female correspondent of To Be Determined. We're going to talk about the Barstool Bills Mafia documentary. Got a lot of buzz on Twitter. We're going to try to give you a little different take on it next. To Be Determined, rolling on.
Oh, welcome back. We're back here on To Be Determined.
At Sports by Bond, the most bland return from break by at Trabs Matt.
All about the prep.
It's all right. That's all right.
All about the
prep. You
prep.
were smooth through it. That's the important thing. Joined by at Ashwee Carter, the one, the only female correspondent of To Be Determined, Ashley Carter. What's going on, Miss Carter?
Not much. Enjoying my Sunday. How about you guys?
We're living.
Yeah.
We're living.
Oh, yeah.
Doing that life thing?
Doing the life thing,
I'm just
indeed.
reading the rundown and using that as what I'm saying on the show. So very productive. Very productive.
Yes.
I write different things on the rundown, and it's not to screw up.
It just says welcome
Maddie,
back.
but
That's all I said.
I do it from time to time. It's the way we flow things. I don't really change the skeleton of the rundown. We just change the meat, if that makes sense. We just change what's in it, just not the structure of it. So
the skin.
All right.
That's how you do it.
It's easier for me that way. It's in my own brain. So okay, we're bringing Ashley on this week. Normally it's to talk female problems and or things that are buzzing in and around the entertainment world, I guess, for lack of a better term. The thing that was buzzing this week in upstate New York and really all over the internet was the Bills Mafia documentary by Barstool Sports. So they're launching a series of, I guess, mini docs, for lack of a better term. It looks like they're not going to be just based on the Bills one, not too long. This one less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And, well, it got a lot of reaction on social media. And so we thought, hey, let's bring on Ashley to talk about not only the doc itself, her reaction. She's a Buffalonian, and she's been to Bills tailgates plenty of times. So
she knows social?
Obviously knows the social media stuff as well.
I know the internet.
Internet.com. There we go.
Well versed.
Versed on the
on
World
the
Wide
old
Web.
the Twitter.com.
The Twitter.com.
Ashley, first and foremost, what did you make of the doc?
In a word, it's underwhelming was what I had to say. Obviously, as a Buffalonian, raised here, always super into the Buffalo Bills, 110%. I have a different perspective. I think it was weak, it was pretty weak.
Wow, okay.
And I think we just talked about this. It really didn't have kind of an angle or like a direction, I should say. The direction was kind of just skewed. It was kind of just, but overall, I don't know. And it was only 10 minutes. They hyped it up for so long.
Yeah.
And it was less than 10 minutes. It was kind of bizarre. So
docs are never an easy thing. And Barstool said in an interview with the Buffalo News that they took 6 months to do this project.
For 9.5 minutes.
That is crazy.
That's the crazy part to me, that you spent so long on it for it to only be 9.5 minutes. And for me, I don't know. I feel like there was so much untold with this doc.
Right.
That's really, you mentioned the flow of it, so we'll dive into that question. And as I mentioned, Barstool paid a professional documentary group, I'm not sure who it is, but a bunch of pros to do this. It didn't have the ebbs and flows, and it also didn't interview any of the originators of the hashtag Bills Mafia.
Right. Yeah, and that's weird. So all three of us, obviously, we have journalistic backgrounds. So I think for us, we're kind of like, there are way better ways to tell a story. You know how it is. You have to go from the people that originated. They didn't go to the Bills Mafia people. So it's kind of, it was disappointing because they only picked up 2 parts of Bills Mafia that were viral, I should say. So like the ketchup and mustard guy.
Yep.
And then,
Pinto Ron.
Yeah, and then the infamous Brady's
sex
you know,
object. Yes.
his plaything, which that only happened. That was one game, and it was viral. Obviously, everyone thought it was hilarious, but they spent so much time on it, and that was really bizarre. I was like, there's so much more. Like that guy, the Pinto guy. I mean, he's just known as like a diehard fan. And when they first started interviewing him, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. They found like a fan, like a good fan.
I agree. When they kicked it off, kind of that old school theme, I thought, okay, they're gonna go back, then get into the Bills Mafia stuff,
right?
And go maybe to the future, but they didn't do any of that.
The slow turn of Pinto Ron to the camera with that crazy beard. I'm like, good start.
It was,
yeah.
It was great. Like, it was great footage of him and everything. And then it de-escalated so much. I was like, this is like, I don't know. And also the other problem I had, I'm not sure like when they filmed this or what, but it seemed to me they only went to one game.
Yeah.
Did they only film one game?
Well, I don't know. I don't think we can confirm that, but it does look that they only spent maybe a couple of days in Buffalo, and it was obviously during the wintertime.
Right.
So I think it was the one. It looks at least like the one game.
Yeah.
Right. And like depending what time of the season it is, it's like it was there. I think there's just much better. There's probably better games, especially in the beginning. Like games in the beginning of the season are insane. They're absolutely wild. I went to the home opener this year, and it's insane. It is not even like these people are not even real. Like people falling down the stairs in the stadium, like security every 2 seconds coming into to escort someone that was in a fight, people peeing on each other. Like, it's just, I think it's crazier at different times. So I was kind of disappointed they only seemed to go to like one game. And they stayed in the one lot, the grass lot. It didn't seem like they ventured out of that particular area. When in reality, the bus lot where like the limos and buses and everything is insane. It is wild over there. So I think they could have they could have ventured around a little bit more too.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so you've been to a share of these things. You have your share of tailgates. Mm-hmm. Did it really show like the real deal in terms of like consistently throughout the season what it's like?
Like I said, they didn't really move from that one area. It didn't seem like it. There are other areas where like giant groups of people will come together. You start out with your own little crew, and then a lot of people, break away and they become part of other people's groups, which is really awesome about the whole tailgating experience. You meet all these people, and you kind of just form as one. And that's particularly what happens in the bus lot. And I was like, that would have been an awesome place to go to because it gets absolutely wild over there. And obviously, like people are throwing themselves into tables and fires and other inanimate objects and doing explicit things on camera. That obviously happens. But I think as a whole, like that's it's rare to see that firsthand. I never really see any of those things firsthand. I see them on social media later. But I just see like people having a good time, and I see a lot of people like, especially before games, people are so into it and they're talking about, all right, so this is what they're going to do today. This is who's playing. This person's
planning
injured,
out.
And there's,
are they planning
like
out the tailgates almost?
It's like they're planning out the Bills' strategy.
Oh,
even though
okay.
They're just fans on the outside of the game, but it's so funny because they're so into it, and so I think that part's really great too. And they should have addressed like what game they were at or something,
right?
And said, and had people really talk it up, because I feel like in the end they only had that one little snippet like of a guy saying, it's because of whatever happens on the field, what happens outside of the field. He said something really cool about Buffalo, like being a fan, but like they didn't have anything else other than that, because which I think that's what makes Bills Mafia so special, is like we're so, like our team obviously is notoriously mediocre. So
it's a polite way to put it.
So it's like, I think it's really important that like why our fans are so amazing, because you look at other teams that are not good and their stadiums are seriously lacking, whereas the Bills, I mean, that thing is jam packed no matter what.
Yeah,
and
Jacksonville's
I think that's really
Yeah, I was going to say Jacksonville's a good example of that. That they can't even sell out the top deck. I want to ask both of you this question. It just dawned on me. Matt, obviously a Penn State grad, so they're known for having a pretty good tailgate on Saturdays. Buffalo obviously is on Sundays. How much of this recent wave of attention to like a Bills Mafia is due or is thanks, I guess, in part to like the social media aspect?
Oh, I think a lot. Because I didn't even, like I said, I've gone to Bills games for years since I was younger.
Did it get progressively wilder? And I know, obviously, when you're younger, maybe you don't notice as much stuff. But to me, I don't know, and I would assume the same for you, Matt, with Penn State stuff, is that I would think in more recent years it's gotten wilder because kids are trying to make the viral sensation overnight.
Yes. No, that's 100% accurate. That's another thing. I've even thought that before. Especially with like throwing yourself into tables, like that became a thing that people love to do.
Yeah.
But like I said, like I've gone every single year since probably my like senior year of high school. So when I've gone, like people obviously are getting into fights, they're passing out, they're drunk. Just like it was never anything like insane. But like this past year, I noticed more people standing up on their cars, more people just doing insane things because they want to be on Barstool. And then if you just like go through the Bills Mafia hashtag, they're all, tagging Barstool Sports and whatnot, like because they want to get noticed. But I think the passion of the Bills Mafia has always been there, but it's like
it's
they're
more
very
viral
showy because and it's not like, and I'm not sure if like it's made it like cooler to go to Bills games because like obviously there's been years where a lot of people don't go to games because in the years that they have been really, really bad, they're emptier stadiums. But like in the past few years, I think with the new management, with new coaches and stuff, people get hyped up, they get really excited. And I think that's a lot of all those kinds of factors that really drag in the fans. But on top of that, the wanting to go viral because people love that. So.
And my thing is, and I'm glad they put this in like towards the end of the documentary because I didn't think they would go this route. They had somebody with like the other feeling about all of this. I feel like, hey, just take more time to actually tailgate and hydrate and put your phone away. You get more time to tailgate that way. And then some guy at the end said that. Well, like, put your phones away. Just have a good time.
That's a good point. And so, Maddie, let me ask you this then. From a college football perspective, the tailgating is a little different because it is a younger crowd.
Yeah.
On average, it is.
I mean, because, and a lot of it's because of the age. I mean, the college football ones are going to be more elite. I mean,
did you notice maybe from freshman to senior year it get progressively wilder?
No. Well, what you have is you have the younger atmosphere of drinking. Plus, I mean, it's not like older people that are at these NFL ones mostly are not college football fans either. So I think it's just more. You have more things towards the overall tailgating clout.
In college?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Because it's
I think I feel like at the NFL level, especially in Buffalo, you see like the purebred of people that have been born and raised here and have lived their entire lives, and mostly people like middle-aged people and up, like they're like the true fans, and like they come out in full swing and they get wild too. They get just as wild as the stupid, you know what I mean, like the stupid 18-year-olds and stuff. It's funny, like you see like the true older generation of Buffalo who like they have stuck through everything. They were here in the 90s when we were amazing. So that's what I love about it too. And I was kind of upset. I was hoping that they had gotten more fans like that have been around for so long. Like obviously the Pinto guy was right. It was a great interview, but
they touched on that. So and I was disappointed. I think as you said, it was underwhelming. I think that's a good way to put it. So. All right, Ashley Carter, where can we find you on the interwebs?
You can find me at Ashwee Carter, and that's both Twitter and Instagram. And as Bills season approaches, I will be in full swing on my Twitter game. There's nothing I love tweeting about more than Bills games. It's my favorite thing to tweet.
You are very special during the fall. That's the way we'll put
it. Sundays are the best.
All right, the female correspondent for To Be Determined, Ashley Carter. Thanks much for the time, Miss Carter.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, let's jump into It's Got Legs, story that's going to continue over the coming weeks, months, or years in
Many
this
years.
case to make some headlines. The Fightin' Illini, right?
Yep.
All right. Illinois, not Noise, Illinois, offering a football scholarship to Bunchy Young at the ripe age of 10 years old.
He's a wee lad.
Yeah, Young's trainer, and I want to say that again. Yes, his trainer, Mike Evans, corroborating the scholarship offer. Now, just in case you're wondering, Young is in the class of 2025, so we won't see him for a while.
My, oh, my.
But to paint the picture a little bit more and give you an idea of why Coach Lovie Smith may have offered this young man a scholarship, even though he may not be the head coach in 2025.
Yeah, he's old.
I'm not even sure why I'm going to give you stats, but I will. Young ran the 100-meter dash in 12.4 seconds. That's less than 3 seconds slower than Usain Bolt's fastest time of 9.54. Now, I get in the realm of racing that 9.5 and 12.4 are light years apart, but you got to remember this is one of the greatest Olympians of all time, and then a 10-year-old kid out in California.
Yeah, the record holder for this event, yes.
Yeah, which is insane. Exactly. That was his record. Young, that is, plays running back, wide receiver, and DB, scored 30 TDs and had 4 picks last season. I couldn't figure out how many games the kid played in, but he's also a track star. So the question is this scholarship offer a good thing?
Now, recently, there's been a Florida Atlantic story like this, a Hawaii story like this, and...
That's Hawaii for the...
No, Hawaii is actually how it's pronounced.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
Okay. My apologies. Sorry.
I heard it
continue.
on the Gabriel Iglesias stand-up.
Okay.
Smidge. A little morsel on Sirius XM. So, there's been some lesser in terms of clout as a football program over the years. There's some of these schools.
They have less clout than Illinois does.
Yeah, as a Big Ten school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a BCS conference school.
Right.
Yeah, so they need to
It's
do...
kind of gimmicky, right?
Yeah, so when they give stuff to kids around his age, I'm not even sure as young as Bunchy Young. Bunchy Young, that's funny. The last name.
Interesting name.
It's more a publicity stunt.
Yeah.
This, I mean, that is not a lot of time slower at the 100-meter dash than Usain Bolt.
It's an impressive number. We watched a little tape on the kid before we jumped into this segment just to see. I mean, his footwork is legit. He's training by running up these massive hills and just sprinting up them faster than you and I could do. I mean, the kid looks legit. He's smaller than his peers at this point, but he's got time to grow. He's only 10 years old. The issue becomes, how does this affect the kid's development, his character, his personality, all that stuff?
The character,
does it get
especially
to his head? I mean, in this day and age when kids want to put out on social media how good they are, they want to put their tapes, they want to put where they're getting scholarship offers from, they want to tweet whenever they have a visit, they tweet where they're committing to. It becomes a very me-centric culture, and just look at me, look what I'm doing, as opposed to, hey, I'm going to play for this team.
My biggest takeaway is the fact that, yes, going back to this 100-meter dash, which is just so freaking impressive to me. And he might end up wanting to do track. I don't know if he likes football or track more, but the track stuff seems to be pretty good outlet for him as well. Yes, 2.4 seconds or whatever the difference is there with Usain Bolt.
It's about 2.9, I think we did.
Oh,
roughly.
yeah, because for some reason I thought it was 12 and not 12.4.
Yeah.
So, yes, in that realm of the 100-meter dash, that event, that's a lot of time. When you think about his strides are nothing at 10 years old.
Yeah.
Compared to Usain, who's huge.
He's got to take twice the steps, if not 3
that's
times.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You couldn't even see the kid's legs moving.
It's a little Roadrunner.
Yeah, no, it's Roadrunner or Tasmanian Devil, or when you watch, it's just like a blurry kind of dust cloud below the waist.
You can only hope that...
Looney Tunes.
We don't know anything about the kid's family, so you can only hope that he remains grounded. That
they named him Bunchy. We know that much.
Well, an odd name. Maybe it's a family name. It could be a nickname.
Oh, my gosh, I hope not.
So... you hope that he remains humble at this early stage and he continues to work hard, because you're going to need to work hard. You can't settle at 10 years old because you got one football scholarship from what could be a fired football coach at the end of next year.
I mean, Lovie Smith, what was it, 11 years ago, was in the Super Bowl.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
now he's offering a scholarship to a 10-year-old who wasn't even alive to see...
Maybe it was good that recruiting wasn't the NFL.
This kid wasn't even alive. I just thought of that right now as we're talking. He wasn't even alive to see the Super Bowl loss.
Oh, geez, you're right.
Some quick math on the fly there. Oh, my God.
Hey, knowledge is power.
So, all right, keep an eye and
Math
an
is
ear
the
out.
gateway.
Yeah, keep an eye and an ear out 7-8 years from now for Bunchy Young. All right, time to wrap things up. We get to the thank you portion of the show. Our thanks to Eric Fawcett, writer of Now, where was
Writer at pressbasketball.com.
Right, writer at pressbasketball.com. And a new international friend, a little north of the border. He's from Edmonton. So we appreciate Eric coming on and his insight, whatnot. Great segment with him, and even was kind enough to wear a Syracuse Carmelo Anthony jersey
Unbelievable.
for. So it was great connection there. Our thanks to Ashley Carter, the female correspondent.
Yeah.
Our thanks to the guys at $10 Tea Club. Make sure you head over to $10tclub.com. Use the promo code TBD. Save yourself 15%. Guys, it's great stuff, and they really do. They start at $10. It's amazing gear. Hook yourself up, even the ladies, too, for our female listener base as well. Or, guys, get them for the girls.
And a big shout-out to Kenny from Home Depot for undisclosed references.
Undisclosed references. I like that. That may be a new segment. Our thanks to the senior producer of To Be Determined, Mitch Mula. Happy 30th birthday, by the way. The old man
Mitch
in the building.
Mula.
Our thanks to @SportsByBomb. Make sure you check us out on Twitter @TBD_show. To Be Determined show on Instagram. Email the show to tbdmailman@gmail.com. 20 seconds. What else do we got to do? Check out the podcast on iTunes, Google Play.
Chupacabra Slims.
PGP on YouTube, the postgame press conference, and the Friday show on Friday and now iTunes and Google Play. Later, boys.
We out.